Hello and welcome to Sport Vibes on DNTWOK. Of course, this is the channel where you get to catch up with the latest updates across the world of sports. Talk about top quality content, football, Formula One, the NBA, tennis, and many more. My name is Bolaji and I'm your host. So let's get right to action. Let's kick off with the NBA and talk about a certain man doing so well for himself. Talk about Stephen Curry. The Golden State Warriors have had a fantastic season so far, or maybe by your own judgment, you could say a good season, a decent season. Judging by the kind of opponents they have faced, you would not call it an extraordinarily spectacular season. But you can't take anything away from what they've done this season. They've got good records. Of course, the last game they lost to Charlotte Hornets, which was a disappointing result for them, but that is not the headline, that is not the news we want to talk about. Let's talk about Stephen Curry, because this man has set a record for the most three-pointers scored in all NBA games, including playoffs. Curry now has 3,369 three-point baskets in all NBA games. That is, when we say all NBA games, talking about both the regular season and the postseason, including the playoffs. And that means that he has now passed basketball great Ray Allen's mark of 3,358. The 33-year-old is now chasing Allen's regular season record. This is because official NBA records do not include playoff games. And when you're talking about the regular season stats, Ray Allen is still ahead of Stephen Curry. Ray Allen is on 2,973 three-point baskets. You have to be careful when calling that, because it can be tricky to pronounce. But for Stephen Curry is on 2,899 three-point baskets. So judging by his form so far this season, of course in the last game he was only able to register 3 three-pointers, but about an average of 5 three-pointers per game so far this season. When you judge by that, you may not be wrong if you predict that Stephen Curry might have met or broken the record before Christmas. So good one for Stephen Curry. A lot of excitement and fun in the NBA. Regardless of individual performances, you could still win or lose as a team. So let's leave that and talk about Formula One when we come back from this break.
Curry's gonna put it up, you know that. That guy's incredible. He'll take the wind out of your sails. I thought he was going to shoot it right there. Look, he just stepped through, tough angle. He knew it was in.
This is still Sport Vibes on DNTWOK. Now let's talk about Motorsport, because Lewis Hamilton passed title rival Max Verstappen after an intense battle to take one of his greatest victories and win the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It was a very, very exciting one at the Interlagos. Lewis Hamilton, all stacked against him going into that race. A lot of rancor, a lot of rivalry between Red Bull and Mercedes, but Lewis Hamilton showed exactly the character champions do show. He showed us the reason why he is a 7-time winner of the championship, as he dug deep and eventually claimed the victory. Hamilton took the lead with 12 laps to go after fighting up from 10th place on the grid, and that ensured that he cut Verstappen's advantage in the championship to 14 points. His victory came after starting 20th and last for the sprint event. So wonderful one from Hamilton. That was his 101st victory in his career. So good one for Hamilton. It could go either way now. There's still a lot to play for in Formula One. Of course, now we head towards the Middle East countries for the last 3 races. So I believe a lot of Formula One fans are really, really excited about what is to come, because it's not just about that alone. When you talk about the competition in Formula One, it seems you just get to hear Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, Verstappen and Red Bull. But let's talk about the Constructors' Championship too, because Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were able to secure the 5th and 6th position during the race at Sao Paulo, and that meant that they were able to strengthen their grip on the 3rd place. Talking about Ferrari now, both of them raced for Ferrari, and that means that they were able to extend their lead above McLaren. So it's a wonderful one for them too. There's always something to fight for. Either you are looking for the fastest lap, the pole position, constructors championship, and all these things. That is why sport is exciting. That is why motorsport excites the fans. So we move from there, and now after this break we will be talking football.
Hamilton, against the odds, has come home to win the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. What a victory for Lewis Hamilton. He's not ready to loosen his grip on that championship trophy. Not just yet.
Before the break, we talked about Formula One, and before that, we talked about Steph Curry in the NBA doing exploits. But now let's talk about football. There's not been club actions because the football world is on international break. Talking about men's football, players turning off for their national sides, and of course, it's all in a bid to qualify for the Qatar 2022 World Cup. Quite a number of teams have already secured their places in the tournament. We have, of course, the world number one team, Belgium, securing their place. France already secured their place as well. Spain, Germany, and quite a number of teams. And of course, the host country, Qatar, they get an automatic spot there. I just want us to mention some things, some important points, because some people are still not so sure as to how the slots are distributed across the continent. And now I have this with me. Just listen attentively, because UEFA has 13 slots. I'm talking about the slots, the number of spaces allotted to each continent, each confederations for the World Cup. UEFA, of course, the highest and arguably the most respected continent in football, have 13 slots. That means 13 teams will be coming to represent Europe in the World Cup. And then CAF, that is Africa, they have 5 slots. AFC Asia, they have 4 slots. CONMEBOL, that is the South American side, they have 4 slots. CONCACAF, North and Central America and the Caribbean, they have just 3 slots. And we have 2 slots for winners of intercontinental playoffs. This is normally between Oceania teams and some other continents. So there's always been that debate about Africa and maybe some other continents wanting more slots, wanting more berth when you talk about the amount of places allotted to them in the World Cup. But right now it's still the same as it is. Maybe in 2026, if we get to see, or when we get to see the 48 team World Cup, these teams will definitely be more represented. But right now, there's been shocking results. There's been wonderful results for some team. Denmark, of course, we should not forget to mention Denmark. They've qualified since October for the World Cup, coming from a team struggling to booking their place in the World Cup very, very early on. Germany also have done well. And there is this stat that is rather strange about the World Cup that you should note, and that is the fact that previous winners of World Cups have not been doing well in the subsequent tournaments. You talk about France winning the 1998 World Cup, and then coming up to the 2002 World Cup, they were eliminated in the group stage. Talk about Italy winning the 2006 World Cup, they did not do well at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Talk about Spain winning the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, they were woeful in 2014 at Brazil. And of course, Germany, the winners in 2014, did not do well at all in Russia 2018. This time around, I'm sure France and all French people would be hoping that does not repeat itself, because they have qualified already. But we just keep our fingers crossed. It's going to be a Winter World Cup. I'm not sure you've seen anything like that, so there's every reason to be excited about it. The stadia and a lot of fun things to see and look up to in the World Cup. Let's take yet another break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the show with club football. Welcome back to Sport Vibes on DNTWOK. Now let's talk about the Premier League. Last time on the show, the last edition, we talked about quite a number of hiring and firing with the managers, and now someone who got fired just before the international break has been employed by another club, and that is no other person than Dean Smith. Remember, Dean Smith, the former Aston Villa manager, has now been confirmed as the new head coach of Norwich City on a 2.5-year deal. The former Aston Villa boss succeeds Daniel Farke, who was sacked with the Canaries bottom of the Premier League. So I think that's a good one for Dean Smith, returning and coming back very, very quickly. As managers, many times they would tell you, unless you are taking a leave by yourself, unless you are trying to just catch a break from the world of sports, it's never really a good thing to be a spectator. So for Dean Smith, that's a good one. He's back doing what he loves to do. He will be at the end of affairs at Norwich City, and this is an interesting one for us to note because it will make history as the first man to take charge of successive Premier League matches against the same opponents with different teams. Let me explain this. The last game he took charge of when he was at Aston Villa was against Southampton, and now he's back. He would be facing Southampton yet again. He would be up against the Saints with the Canaries. So that's interesting for Dean Smith. Maybe it's a very early opportunity to get revenge against Southampton. Wait and see. His record at Aston Villa was not a bad one. His first season in charge, he was able to guide them to promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. And their first season in the Premier League, he was able to lead the team to the final of the Carabao Cup. That was the 2019-20 season. And then last season, he was able to secure an 11th place finish. They finished 11th on the log. Just that this season, despite the fact that they had some positives here and there with Aston Villa, just didn't work out. So he would be looking to reshape some things at Norwich City too. Don't forget, Norwich are still rock bottom. They are 5 points adrift of safety. So we keep our fingers crossed. We expect excitement from the world of football, from the Premier League, from Dean Smith and Norwich City. That is the size of the show on Sport Vibes this week. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course Telegram. Bye for now.